This is the Emotional Horsemanship Podcast. I am Lockie Phillips, your host. Emotional Horsemanship coaches deeply caring horse people to train emotionally balanced horses with science, empathy, and feel. And this is the podcast dedicated to exploring all of that within. We try to innovate horse training that puts the horse first. Season 2 of this podcast brings us solo episodes, special guests, and small groups of guests as we discuss horses, horse training, the equestrian industry, and the big, beautiful ideas that horses inspire in us always. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing really well. If you're listening to this podcast in your car, I hope you're driving safely and that you're getting to a place you want to go. If you're listening to this mucking out, may your hoop fork twines not break. May your shovels slide easily across the footing. And may your wheelbarrow never be too heavy for you to push and unload. And frankly, may your muck piles always be downhill of where you are currently standing. If you're listening to this somewhere else, in a kitchen, in a living room, I don't know, doing yoga, I don't know, wherever you listen to this, I want to say thank you. I want to thank you for listening, for being here, and for taking an interest in this work, this podcast, and my journey. And if you're new here, well, my name is Lockie. My name is Lockie Phillips, or Lachlan Phillips, Lachlan. But it's been a number of years since I even thought of myself as a Lachlan, because Lachlan is easy for people to say in my birth country, in Australia, and easy for certain parts of the UK people to say, for British people to say. But I've lived my entire adult life in Europe. I lived first in Switzerland as a student, where I studied dance at the Zurich University of the Arts, Zürcher Hochschule der Kunst, the Tanzakademie Zurich, where I finished with a Swiss diploma of stage dance. And then I worked in the Thuringen Staatsballett in Gera in Germany, Gera und Altenburg in Eastern Germany, sort of close to Leipzig. I worked there for 1 year in Germany. And then I spent 8 years living in Poland, 7 of which I danced with the Polish National Ballet Company, which is the largest ballet company in Poland, in the Warsaw Grand Opera House, which is the largest opera house in Central and Western Europe, with the largest stage by proportions in Europe as well. And I was the first Australian to work in that theatre under a contract. I worked there for 7 years. I had a lifetime contract that I walked away from when I was 28. Then I spent 1 more year living in Poland, and then I moved to Spain. Cycling back, right back at the beginning of my Polish adventure, I brought horses back into my life. In fact, I brought horses back into my life before I got to Poland, but that depends how deep you want to go into my story. But horses really came back into my life properly when I got to Poland. And then I started working with horses again professionally pretty quickly, I have to be honest with you. Within a few years, I was starting to do lessons. So for a long time, I was dancing and working with horses at the same time. And it was because of the success of my equestrian business in Poland that I was able to walk away from a career in dance that I no longer wanted. So I spent a further year in Poland with purely horsework. And then I moved to Spain. And when I moved to Spain, I lost everything. And when I lost everything, everything became really clear. It was a very difficult time. And I started my business again from scratch and rebuilt through many moves, many changes of home, many stresses, and, well, a pandemic in the middle of it. I built my business back up from scratch. And now today I live in northwestern Spain in a beautiful region called Galicia. I live in a 19th century 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom farmhouse on 7 acres of beautiful land that I own, and I live here peacefully. I have 2 part-time employees who help me on the farm. I have a full-time administrator, Catherine. If you've ever contacted us by email, you'll know Catherine and how wonderful she is. And I have 2 team members. If you've listened to this podcast before, you will know Christy and Michelle, who help me in my work, and help all of you in your work, because they work with a lot of the students who are with us. And so all of that culminated recently in April and May of 2025, very recently. I went on a tour. I went for 7 weeks, 16 different planes into 3 countries. I delivered 9 2-day clinics, so 18 active days of clinics to 50 horses. Yeah, 50 horses, 1 lovely mule. And I think there were about 4 to 6 companion horses who came to accompany the participating horses as well. And they ended up being in the space too. We had 241 people, give or take, plus or minus a few either side of that, because there's always last minute things and people coming and going. And 72 hours of clinics, because each 2-day clinic is 16 hours. That does not include the question and answer time at the end, which the longest question and answer time I delivered was in New Hampshire right at the very end, which went almost for 3 hours of question and answers at the end. So that was my spring clinic tour, and I'm calling it a world tour because I can. I had one-way plane tickets all the way around. I started in Santiago de Compostela, which is near where I live. And if you know of the Camino de Santiago, it's very close to where I live. Flew to Madrid. From Madrid, I flew to Doha, where I spent 21 hours in Doha Airport on April the 3rd, 2025, which happened to be my 35th birthday. I spent in Doha Airport in Oman. Don't worry, I was fine. I found a hotel room. Everything was fine. And then I flew to Perth, where I started in Perth, moved on to Cudler in South Australia, then to Romsey near Melbourne in Victoria, in my home state, my birth state, then to Dorrigo, New South Wales, then across the Tasman Sea to Wellington, New Zealand, at the KPT Equestrian Centre in Wellington. From there, across to the United States, into Arizona, from Arizona to New Mexico, Taos, New Mexico in specifics, Phoenix, Arizona, Taos, New Mexico, then to Mount Airy in Maryland, then from Maryland to Boscawen, New Hampshire, from New Hampshire back to Madrid, from Madrid to Santiago, and then Santiago back home. So that was a world tour. I am most proud of this clinic tour than any of the others I've done so far. That's not to minimize the others I've done, because I think the others were good too. But this clinic tour, I did not get exhausted. I was tired, but I did not get exhausted. I was not depleted. I was fulfilled from beginning all the way through and until the very end. I did not once feel frustrated by anybody. I did not once feel made uncomfortable, attacked, or criticized in a negative way by anybody in attendance. Not because all the people who attended were, perfect, comfortable people that didn't challenge me. I had plenty of skeptics attend this tour. But for some reason, I think all of this low, hard stuff I've put out into the world, talking about boundaries and about respectful intercourse and about having decorum with each other, especially when we disagree, actually worked, because when skeptics did attend, they attended respectfully as I was attending to them. It was like we had rapport for each other in the skepticism. And it was so refreshing and so lovely for me to experience that and to see others, to see you navigate feeling skeptical in my presence and for both of us to feel in our bodies and at peace whilst we were there. That for me felt like transformative. It felt healing. And I think it's everything I want to see more of in this world. Bring it on. Bring on the skeptics. If you're listening and you're a die-hard skeptic of mine, I welcome you. I really do, because I feel like not that we've cracked the code, but I feel really resourced to offer a skeptic a business, but not a business, a way of working, a methodology to follow that is structured, that has a scaffolding for people to make sense of, that still allows individuals to add their finishing touches, like decorating a home. If the, well, if the bones are good, the house doesn't fall. I'll just say that. If the foundations are good, the house doesn't shake or fall down or crack. And so I feel like this work that I'm so lucky to be able to do has good bones, good foundation, and the infrastructure of what we're offering people at a clinic, but also interpersonally and with the horses, has the strength to hold itself up against even the edgiest of the kind of person I would attract. There are certain people I just will not work with. But I just felt really well resourced. And it was a huge departure from my clinic tour of 1 year ago in the springtime, where I felt different. It was a very difficult tour, spring 2024. And I think the difference is I had a long break over the Christmas period where I really recharged my batteries. I had an amazing tour in Canada in October of 2024, which really rebuilt my confidence because the people there that I saw in Canada were so wonderful and available and made my job really kind of easy than it usually is. And so that rebuilt my confidence a little bit. But this clinic tour I'm most proud of. I also had a beautiful experience in Taos, New Mexico, because the participants were brand new to my work, people I'd never worked with before. But about 70 to 80% of the auditors in attendance, and we had about 30, 35 auditors. So most of those people were long-term clients or people I had spent a lot of time and energy in personal or working relationships with. So it was a lot of known people that I've been working with online for a long time. Marta Wieczorek, who's been on this podcast, who's the first client of Emotional Horsemanship ever, flew to New Mexico from Poland to attend that clinic. It was like a meeting point of the Emotional Horsemanship community. And it was wonderful to feel a space filled of horse people who are having even challenging conversations with each other. There was no competitiveness, no bitchiness, no snarkiness, unless the snarkiness was coming from me. And when I was being snarky, I was doing it to lighten the atmosphere of the room. And I would even say, I'm joking right now. My tongue is in my cheek. I am a millennial and millennials have no sense of humor. So even when there was snarkiness, I was doing it right out in the open, facetiously and with a horrible sense of humor to lighten the load. It's easier if I'm the asshole, jokingly the asshole in the room, and everyone else sort of has permission to kind of be a little bit more imperfect, which actually allows people to let their guard down, soften, be vulnerable, and really connect with each other and talk with each other. And if we can do that as people, then it makes the horse training so much easier because the horses are more comfortable when they're not standing in a room full of disconnected upper primates with a prevalence for violence. But I digress. That was a hard digression. Yeah, about face. Let's go back to center. But I just feel really proud of this tour. And I want to take this moment to thank, firstly, all of the hosts in all of the locations who invited me. You were all wonderful, all brand new locations. Some of you I knew already, and some of you I did not. You people opened your homes to me to accommodate me, your families, your communities, your lives. I want to thank you so much because everywhere I go, there we all are. And I met so many wonderful people whose lives fascinated me, whose stories with horses sometimes brought tears to my eyes and a smile to my heart. And I want to thank all of you who invited me because it was really amazing. One of the most satisfying personal and professional experiences of my life was being able to connect with all of the hosts this year really well and have a what I think was a good rapport with each and every one of you. Um, and I also want to thank all of the auditors who attended and understood the boundaries for being quiet and respectful at my clinics and for not speaking out of turn and to ask your questions well at the end and be punctual and be on time, because all of you were and behaved so beautifully and really allowed the clinic to unfold the way it needed to. And I want to thank everyone for putting in the effort and for attending. I really appreciate you. I want to thank all of the participants who came and especially their horses who came and who helped us all to learn something. There is no clinic without the participants. So, yes, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then I came home and my 7-year relationship came to an end. Yes, where there is light, there is also shadow. And prior to going home, I spent about 5 days with my friend and colleague and student, my family, my chosen family, Christy Foley, in her home with her family. And I could not have been in a better place before going home because we went to salt caves and we did ear candling and spoke spiritually and nourishing foods, and we were good to each other. And I was just in a good place to go home and have my home turn itself upside down and inside out. And now I'm only pausing silently, not because I'm getting emotional. Well, I am, but I'm not upset. I'm pausing because I'm conflicted in myself about how much to share with all of you. Because this is a parasocial relationship. I don't know who I'm speaking to right now, but that's also not true. Because I just did a world tour and everywhere I went, people came up and said, I listened to the podcast and I enjoy it. And I listened to it here and I listened to it there. And that conversation was interesting. And this one I still think about. And I'm coming to the idea, the awareness that I'm not just speaking into a void, I'm speaking to people, and I go out in the world and I meet you people, and all of you people that I've met so far have been wonderful people. And I've come to the awareness, to my, even against my will and a little bit with my own chagrin, that you guys aren't just interested in my work, you also display to me an interest in who I am as a human being. And that's something I never anticipated. I thought people would want, maybe some people would want my work. I did not anticipate that anyone would want me. So that's a surprise for me. And so I'm leaning into ways to be truthful with you without oversharing. My relationship is not ending, has not ended because there was no love. My relationship has not ended because we weren't good to each other. My relationship is not ending because we did not try. My relationship has ended because it needed to end. It ended because when we got to Spain and everything fell apart, we went into a tunnel. And that's why at the beginning of this episode, I recapped for you my journey until now, because I wasn't just on my own. Because at the end of Poland and into Spain, I was with someone the whole time. When I left the dance career, he was there. When we moved to Spain, he was there. When I had nobody, he was there. And so we went into a tunnel, and I felt like the universe knew I was about to go into a dark, long tunnel of challenges where I was faced with diseases and deaths of my mentors and changing of countries and ending of businesses and starting of new businesses and financial troubles and housing issues and major logistical burdens and all sorts of things were going on that made life very difficult. I had someone by my side, and I felt like the universe knew I was about to be challenged and said, he's going to need a travel buddy. He's going to need someone to go through that with, because no one should go through that on their own. And I didn't. And the universe sent me the best. He was the best. The best person. If you're going to be in a crisis for a long time, you want to be with who I was with. And the results speak for themselves. I'm just on a world tour, and I could not have achieved that without his quiet support in the background. And we kept saying to each other, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Well, we got to the light at the end of the tunnel, and we got out at the end of the tunnel and blinked and stretched our arms and went, oh God, I'm tired. And then we rested. And then we woke up, and we were able to see clearly around us and realize that the tunnel had changed both of us, that I'm now a different person than when I was when I went in. And he's now a different person than when he was when he went in. And because the times were so dark, we almost could not see each other changing as the change was happening. I'm speaking allegorically, not literally, but this is really the way I can best summarize for you the experience of the last 7 years of my life, because my life has played with my work and the way I show up publicly in an intimate way, even though I don't speak on it. And I've got very good boundaries between my personal and private life, and at the moment enjoy an excellent work-life balance. We discovered at the end of our challenges, and when we are about to embark on new challenges, that both of us are dealing with totally different challenges and challenges that go in totally different directions. We grew apart, not because we did not try. We tried very hard for each other, and not because we did not love. We loved very much each other, and not because there was no connection or chemistry. There was connection and chemistry until the very end. Now, no relationship is perfect. All relationships have challenges, and we had up times and down times and sideways times and everything in between. But at the end, we loved and respected each other. And I might be proud of my world tour. I might be proud of my business, of my work, and of the way I train horses. But the thing I'm most proud of in the last 7 years is our relationship. And I'm especially proud of the way that it ended, because though it was shocking initially, the realization very quickly was that it has to end. And the way it ended was deeply respectful, absolutely not acrimonious, extremely positive ending. We were very kind, very loving, very gentle, very respectful with each other as it ended, and it has ended. And now it is over. And now I am still here, and I am okay. There are a few people I wish to thank. I wish to thank Laurie Halliday, because she was there for me in the depths of the worst moments of realization, and continues to be. I want to thank also her daughter, Ella Halliday, who has been there for me also. I want to thank Catherine, who helped me administrate my business during this time while I stepped back a little bit to tend to my stuff. And Christy and Michelle for checking on me daily, for Kim Allen and Claire Aiken for checking in with me every day, sometimes more than once, sometimes twice, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 times a day to check that I'm doing okay. And my mum for dropping everything and flying across the world to be with me. She said, I'm coming. I'm just going to be there. We're going to spend the summer together. And so she has. So I'm really proud of the way it ended. And it really had to end. It had to end years ago. It needed to end years ago, but it ended now because we couldn't end it until now, because we had to wait until both of us would be okay to end it. We did not want to end it in a way that would leave the other not in an okay position. My career's going well. His career's going well. I'm sure of myself. He knows what he needs to do for himself. And so now we can end it because we're in a good place. So that's as much as I'm going to share with you right now. I think that's plenty personal. Please don't worry about me. I'm going to be just fine. I'm already feeling better now than I was when I was in the relationship. And it's been less than 2 weeks. So that tells you how ready my soul and spirit was for something else. I am now the most eligible gay bachelor in the equestrian industry. So listen, matchmaker, make me a match. Send them my way, ladies and gentlemen. I have a few gentlemen who listen. For the 2.5 heterosexual men who are listening, are you okay? Firstly, because the heterosexual man in 2025 is not okay. Well, they haven't been okay for a while. Did I just say something problematic? I'm nervous, guys. Give me a break. I just let everyone know my personal life in a public forum. Give me a break. Anyway, to the 2.5 heterosexual men who are listening, if you know someone, I'm here. Ladies, if you know someone, let me know. I'm being facetious and I'm joking, but I'm very clear that my life is something that can facilitate community and family. And I'm leaning fully into the role of leading, of being in community with people at an international level. We are preparing guest rooms in my house that I couldn't offer before. Now I can, and there's going to be opportunities here on my farm in Spain. Now I'm ready to fill my farm and my life with love, with community, with light, with change, with people who are interested in horses and doing better by them. I am ready. And this is one of the most positive things that could have happened to me this year. That does not mean it has always felt delightful. It means that I know that really good change is sometimes really hard. Usually it's the hardest one to do. And now I know he doesn't listen, but I'm going to say it anyway. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for this adventure. And I will not stand in the same room with anyone who says that you are a bad person. Thank you for loving me and for allowing me to go and chase my dream of a better life for horses and for their people. Thank you for letting me go. Be happy. Be happy in your life. Who am I speaking to now? I'm speaking to everyone, but I'm especially speaking to him. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Bye for now. You're listening to the Emotional Horsemanship Podcast. Thanks again to everyone who attended this year's spring clinic tour, especially to the horses who really helped us soar with the techniques shown and the approaches to the horse that we offer, that really helped us demonstrate so many of the issues that horses tend to have in their lives with humans and the non-violent and gentle solutions we can use to work with them. If you're interested in seeing some of those clinics, we filmed 2 of the clinics from start to finish, missing only about 20 minutes of discussion at the very end because the battery on the phone ran out, but about 9.5 hours of a clinic was filmed each day of the clinic. So that's about 20 hours per clinic times 2 clinics. So 40 hours of recording. And we will be publishing those very soon onto the Full Clinic recording platform. If you're interested in that, you can find a link below to a waitlist where you can sign up for that if you're interested in watching those recordings. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next week. And we've got some wonderful guests lined up for the second half of 2025. Be well, everyone. Be safe. Talk to you soon.